After trusting my gut, turns out partner of 11 years is cheating. First off, I frequently read Reddit but never posted. This is obviously a throwaway, so please, politely, correct me of any miscues. After trusting my gut, I finally have substantial knowledge, but not absolute proof of my wife carrying out an extramarital affair. Background: wife and I have been together 11 years, married 3. We always had a great relationship. Sex was great, exploratory, and frequent. I always described us as a perfect partnership. As no surprise, when we had our first child, our personal relationship took a dive as we are both working professionals and focused on our child. Eventually, it regained traction and we were just as good as ever. Fast forward a couple of years later and she became pregnant with our second child. We worked through some rough patches again, but I felt we made it past them. As mentioned, we are both very career focused and both of us concentrate very hard on balancing work and home life. For what it's worth, I suppose I'm the breadwinner. Our insurance, housing bills, and overall comfort comes from my income. It's not that she is incapable, she just happens to be very well educated in a field that is incredibly low paying. I, on the other hand, chose a career path that is very demanding, but well compensated in both income and benefits. I have also been very supportive of whatever career choices she decided on. More school? Go for it. Take a lower paying but more rewarding job? You do you. I got us. I even took a position a few years ago that was very challenging, but had way more flexible hours so I could help out as much as I could. Doctor's appointments, child care, etc. We also never went along with the traditional gender roles. I change diapers, drop off, pick up kids from daycare, and even tell my boss I can't show certain days to stay at home to watch the kiddos because she had to go to work. I do laundry and keep up with the house as much as I can. In addition to the typical landscaping and exterior work around the house, although I have brought up my concerns that I would like more help around the house, I never complained. Now, the past 12 months have been pretty rough. We have grown very distant and expressed our dissatisfaction with where we are at as a couple, and ever increasingly she has consistently started to shut me out, as far as much as resisting any sort of intimacy. Well, recently I've noticed it more and more. It's become a trend for her to get off work later than normal, which is uncommon in her job. Eventually, I started noticing Facebook messages coming in late at night and early in the morning. This caught my attention as a notification sound has been turned on recently, which was never the case before. And finally, I noticed several notifications coming in early in the morning, almost like a good morning, and got to the point where she would ensure that her phone was in close proximity when these rang in, just in case I would possibly get a glimpse. Through some clever, although maybe borderline means, I was able to track her location the past week. Typically, her whereabouts were pretty standard. However, today, I saw her location not just irregular, but about 1 to 2 miles away from her worksite, dead center in a residential area to be specific. I left work when I saw this to check it out. After about 30 minutes of searching, I could not physically locate her vehicle. For the record, I was not planning on confrontation, just of snapping a pic of the vehicle license plate at the site to provide to an attorney and possibly use as proof to her. At this point, I am 99% certain she was nowhere near her workplace, as she has never been more than 500 to 1,000 meters away during work hours, and this was clearly closer to 2 to 3 kilometers. I asked about her day, and she said she was at work all day. No detours. Do I confront? Do I continue to monitor until I get proof? Do I contact an attorney now? Any help would be appreciated. I really want to confront because I feel she will relent when I press, but I want to make sure this can be used to my benefit should it get to divorce court. I've been in this situation before, minus the kids. Trust your gut. My story came to a head when she went out with her sister one night, then texted me at 4:15 a.m. that she was too drunk to drive home and would be staying at her parents'. Her sister lived with her parents. I happened to wake up to the text, and it didn't sit right with me as we lived 10 minutes away on back roads from her parents. So after wrestling with what to do, I decided at 4:45 a.m. to drive to her parents'. She wasn't there. I drove home, then immediately texted her that we needed to have a serious talk when you get home. She replied instantly, "I don't appreciate you threatening me." Then she called while driving and said she was on her way home, a drive which took an hour. There were a lot of red flags, some of which you pointed out in your story. While it worried me, I always tried harder to make it work. Driving to her parents' house that morning broke me. I realized that I didn't want to live like this. I didn't want to be this person. So when she got home, I calmly told her that I wanted a divorce. It was the best decision for both of us. Hire a private investigator. If you confront, she would deny it or think of an excuse, then will accuse you of spying on her. She then will be much more careful the next time. Yeah, definitely thought this question through. My plan is to simply ask questions, only giving away minor observations, details, in hopes she admits. I will try my best not to disclose. I have circumstantial proof for this very reason. Think that will suffice? My main goal is to not sound alarm bells until I have indisputable proof. She will be suspicious if she's paranoid of you finding out. I would leave it to an expert. I hired a PI to catch somebody suing me claiming his knee was ruined, and the PI followed him to a park where he played frisbee golf and didn't limp. They know how to not get caught. Keep quiet and gather info. I think your instincts are correct. Evolution designed us this way for a reason. So the more proof you get, the better you will come out after the divorce. Hugs, man. This is my main fear of marriage. I'd rather just be in a long-term partnership than risk being cheated on and needing to get lawyers involved with my heartbreak. Quote, if you confront, she would deny it or think of an excuse, then will accuse you of spying on her. End quote. Read technique. It'll help. Here's how you phrase it. Wife, I know everything. This is your first, last, and final opportunity to come clean and tell me everything. If you leave out a single fact or detail, we are done. Again, I already know everything. I'm asking you simply to measure your honesty and humanity and to determine whether or not you have any shred of conscience. Your answers will determine whether or not we remain married. This is a tactic I learned in interrogation training. It's brutal, but it gets shit done. The reason it works is because when confronted with it, the mind cannot work fast enough to concoct a lie. Someone trained to resist interrogation or a sociopath will simply not answer and give themselves time to compose a story. A guilty spouse will feel they need to say something. It worked on enemy prisoners of war, and it worked on my ex-wife. All I had was a strong suspicion. She spilled everything.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing. This concludes this Reddit relationships video.